Aloha. Aloha. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu. We are our beloved community, and we are boldly growing compassion, justice, and joy. We are glad that you are here with us, whether you are in person or if you are joining us on Zoom. Everybody is welcome and glad that you're here. I would love to take a moment and allow anyone who is visiting for the first time or back from a long time away, if there's someone who would like to stand up and introduce yourself this morning to make sure we know you're here, please feel free. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Scalby, and I used to actually be active here, and we send our money every year, but
Hey.
living up in Canada, and I've been with Unitarians in Victoria on the board, in fact, of the fellowship. I'm grateful to be back. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome back, Jim. Yay. Good to see you. Anybody else want to say hello? Yes, go ahead.
Hi there, everybody. I am Elizabeth McNabb, and I am new to Honolulu, but not new to Unitarianism. I was a member in Augusta, Georgia for 10 years before we moved, and I am very excited that y'all are here, and I really count on the Unitarians to be progressive
Excellent.
Hopefully, Sundays are not my best day, so I will try to attend, but I can't, I can never be sure.
Welcome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Glad to have you here. Yeah, we all need each other. We need to support each other, especially in these crazy times. We've got some people online, and I can see a few names with my eyes. Leslie is here. Francine is here. Jeff Fox is here. Hello. And Jill is here. Some of you have your names are so small I can't see, but Leanna's here and Lorraine. Hello, everybody. Welcome this morning. Anybody see anybody else that I can't read? Good. Let's see. I'll introduce myself. My name is Crystal Neva. My pronouns are she, her, or they. I have the honor of being your worship associate today. And just a couple words about me. I try and do a spiritual practice every day. I do yoga or Tai Chi or some kind of body movement, and it's usually yin yoga. Anyway, this morning in my practice, I was asked to think of my intention for the day. And prior to doing that yoga, I was feeling really wound up, and so my intention was to unwind. So that's what I'm doing with all of you this morning. I'm here sharing the pulpit this morning with our worship leader, Keola Whittaker, who joins us every month to share some wisdom and some ideas. And he's got a beautiful message for us today, something that for sure hits home for me. So anyway, we'll wait for him to hear what he has to say. But I'd like to light our chalice this morning. If you want to light it, that'd be great. We light our chalice this morning to warm our own hearts, to help us distinguish ourselves and our duties from the endless stream of needs that other people have and the growing piles of work that needs doing in a weary world. May our light stimulate clarity and purpose as it shines in community this morning. And now I'd like to invite you to join us in singing our hymn of the month, which is Come Sing a Song With Me. And at the end of singing, we'll just have one little verse instrumentally, and our children and teachers are invited to go upstairs to Spirit Play.
morning. It's so nice to be with all of you this morning again. In today's service, we're exploring the spiritual practice of saying no. Right? Not the cold no, not the guilty no, but the warm, rounded, unapologetic no that comes from knowing exactly what is yours to tend. So welcome to worship this morning. I also wanted to mention that today, May 17th, is the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia. And we should celebrate that. And I want to tell you why International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia is on May 17th. It is the day that the World Health Organization took homosexuality off the list of mental disabilities. Anybody want to guess? Yeah. Want to guess what year that happened? Exactly, 1990. As late as 1990. Can you believe that? Yeah. Okay. I wanted to take a moment because we don't usually do this in today's service, but I feel like doing it this morning. Would you please take a moment to just say hello to your neighbors around you and just introduce yourself this morning? Hi, Bill. Oh, it's so nice to see you. I was hoping you'd be here today.
Famous passing of the peace.
Yeah, pass the peace. May peace be with you.
We used to do this in the Presbyterian church, and we all be very
All right, that was fun. Now that we've gotten all of the talking out, we're going to get into a more meditative state. And to start that, we're going to sing, "Come, come, whoever you are." And as many of you know, this is based on a Rumi poem. It's only one verse, and we're going to sing it 3 times together. And to get into that meditative state, if you don't mind, we're going to do this song seated. Okay.
Come,
This church is a place to experience the depth of life together. This book stands for the lives that we share within our beloved community. Some of us share our joys and concerns in this book. Others of us see the book and know that they can share their joys and concerns freely here. And we can do that informally in the gallery with one another after the service. We can do it in workshops with wise leaders from near and far. We can do it with our minister, Reverend Deborah Bond Upson, or with members of our care team. And you can also share joys and concerns and learn of the cares of others on our website and also in our newsletter. So this book really just stands for the joys and concerns and all the ways that we share that with each other. So this morning we have a couple of concerns. One is that Jeff Fox had a successful double knee replacement. Ouch. He's receiving PT at a facility in Kaneohe. So Gabe asks that we send our healing prayers on the trade winds to Jeff. Miles, this is another concern. Miles Opulauho has come down with some health issues that seem to point to Lyme's disease or another autoimmune kind of disorder. So asking for optimism and a positive outlook and give positive outcome, with the healing team. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't read this one beforehand. Anyway, good thoughts to Miles. So those are our concerns that are written, but I'm sure that we also have other concerns. Oh. Harmony also has a concern. Thank you so much. I didn't see another concern. Thank you, Harmony. God. Harmony's dear cousin, Diane, who was diagnosed with type of cancer that no one had ever had before. Oh my gosh. David and Harmony had a wonderful visit with her and are now returning to Maryland for her memorial service. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's big. Concerns. Life can be hard, heavy. Things happen. So we're just going to take a moment in here to hold in our hearts the concerns that we've heard, that we know are happening with each other, that are happening with ourselves, and just take a moment to feel those. And then think of the ways you might share your concerns that will lighten your load and deepen our connections with each other. We also have joys in the midst of our sorrows. And one joy is that Allison Roland Cizik celebrated her 60th birthday on May 15th. Happy birthday, Allison. I hear tell that she's not with us this morning because she's still recovering from partying heartily. Pierre and Nan are leaving Friday, which is actually kind of sad, but also wonderful. They're going to San Diego, Boston, and Copenhagen, and they say, see you on June 28th. Have a wonderful trip, you guys. And I personally would like to celebrate that Peg and I and Callie went to New York for the wedding of one of my cousins, Cousin Jeremy, and we all had a wonderful trip and spent time in Montauk, New York with all the cousins in one place at one time together again. That was really wonderful. So we just got back from that. So there must be more joys in this room. So if you take a moment to let those joys fill your heart, the good things. The bitterness and the sweetness, the concerns and the joys of life remind us to live these days together. The brave adventure and the holy understanding we share in this journey echo today, as they always do, in the book of life and in the hearts that we share here today. And may it always be so.
Most of us have very little time to just sit silently during the week, purposely silently, where words aren't going through our heads. And so we can do that here together, at least once a week. So let us take some time to meditate. Put both feet on the floor. Sit tall like a string is pulling you up. And rest your hands in your lap. Keep your eyes open or closed, whatever makes you most comfortable. And let us take 3 cleansing breaths together. Now let us sit in silence. You may hear sounds, just let them come and go. And let us sit in silence together for a minute. Slowly come back to this space. Wiggle your toes and fingers. Return. And pass it back to Crystal for giving and receiving.
Thanks for that moment. In the midst of so much suffering in our world, we here are fortunate to be able to provide some relief. It's a privilege to give our whole offering today and every Sunday to people and causes who benefit from our loving concern. And this month we are supporting Twinkle, Pu'uhonua o Waianae. And Pu'uhonua o Waianae is home to keiki, kapuna, and working families, 2/3 of whom are Native Hawaiian. They house up to 250 people in a collective farm village setting where everyone shares responsibility to care for children, create the rules, and engage in service. And they are working to expand their program, and we have been supporting them this month. So when the calabash comes by, please give and help them achieve their goals. And you can also check the order of service for more ways of giving. As you know, there are many ways to give here. You can use the QR code and give on your phone. You can text an amount to sharing the plate, or use that to give for your pledge. But anyway, we will now give freely and receive with great gratitude. Your gifts help sustain the ministry of this church within these walls and without. Mahalo nui loa.
She didn't even apologize. That's the first thing I noticed. It was a Saturday morning, and I was really in need of coffee. You know those Saturday mornings. I needed food. So I was sitting there, and I saw her across the room. So I was trying to wave her down, and I was waving her down like somebody trying to catch a cab in a rainstorm, you know. And she walked over with the particular unhurried confidence of someone who has seen every kind of needy customer and remains somehow unimpressed. She looks at me, she looks at the table, and she says, in a friendly way, but with finality, "Not my table, hon." And then she was gone, off to tend to whatever was in fact her. I sat there blinking. But thankfully my server appeared just 30 seconds later, took my order, and brought me exactly what I needed. Now, that entire scenario lasted less than a minute, but I've been thinking about that moment for years. Because that waitress gave me something I didn't know that I needed, more than a coffee refill that morning. She gave me a model. A theology, even. A way of being in the world that I spent most of my life completely unable to access. She knew what was hers, and she trusted that everything else was somebody else's. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. Because most of us weren't taught that, were we? We're taught the opposite. I know because I was taught it explicitly. So I want to tell you about the summer before I went to law school. I worked at the Cheesecake Factory in Waikiki. You know the one, right? Have you been there? Okay, so you know that the menu is essentially a doctoral dissertation. Dozens of pages, hundreds of items, there are even ads in the menu. It's a monument to the proposition that more is always better. The size of the portions are a testament to that, right? And the training of that restaurant is extensive. You had to know every dish. But what I remember most isn't one of the food items. It's a phrase that they drilled into me from the first day I started working there. We never say no. And they didn't mean that we gave away free cheesecake. They meant we don't use the word no with our customers. So if a customer asks for something we can't provide, we say, "I'm so sorry, but what I can do is." We pivot, we redirect, we find some version of yes to offer in the place of the no that would be more honest. We smile, we apologize, we make the customer feel that their every desire is, in principle, possible. Do you take American Express? I'm so sorry, we take Visa and MasterCard. Do you take reservations? I'm so sorry, we seat people as they arrive. I was really good at this. Really, really good. Unnervingly good. I carried over into my normal life. And I think it's because I've been practicing that way of being in the world without knowing it. I absorbed it the way that children absorb everything, that my needs were secondary, that helpfulness is how you earned your place, that saying no is a kind of selfishness. And it was the opposite of selfish to make yourself endlessly available, endlessly accommodating, sorry for the moments where you couldn't be both things at once. And then, after the Cheesecake Factory, I went to law school. And then I became an associate at a New York law firm, and everything got worse. As a young associate, you're at the bottom of everything. And the work has no natural edges. A brief can always be more polished, a contract can always be more airtight. Partners need things at 11 p.m., clients need things on holidays. The billable hour has no conscience. It will take everything you give it and simply wait patient and silent for more. I found out that nobody was going to protect me. The partner wasn't going to knock on my door and say, Keola, you should go get some sleep. The institution wasn't going to build a fence around my health and call it policy. The system had no mechanism for my wholeness. It wasn't designed for it. If I didn't say, not my table, to the 2 a.m. email, to the weekend that wasn't mine to give, the creeping sense that my entire self was simply a resource to be allocated, nobody was going to say no for me, right? If I didn't create limits, there would be none. Maybe some of you know this too, have had that same feeling in your life. But here's what I want to sit with for a moment, because I think we rush past it too quickly. It's the cost of living that way. I want to talk about what it actually costs to live without a sense of your table. Not in the abstract, but in your body, in the bones. I think about the activist who has been fighting for a decade and can't remember the last time she felt joy at work. I think about the caregiver that gives so completely that there is no self to return to at the end of the day. I think about the volunteer who says yes to every request, every committee, every community need until the well is not just low, it's dry. And they're standing before it, wondering what happened. I think about congregations like ours, communities of conscience who feel the weight of every injustice as a personal summons and carry so many tables that we can't move. I know something about this. There are seasons in my own life when I said yes to so many things that I could no longer tell you what I actually cared about. I was busy in the way that kind of felt like hiding. Full calendar, empty center. And I wonder sometimes whether that was accidental. I wonder if busyness itself was a kind of avoidance. Because knowing your table, and I mean really knowing it, requires something harder than just saying no. It requires grieving. It requires letting go of all the tables that are not yours and feeling the loss of that. The loss of the fantasy that you could do it all, fix it all, be enough for all of it. That grief is real. And I think many of us stay overwhelmed because overwhelm is at least familiar. It at least feels like caring. But caring that depletes you is not sustainable love. It's love eating itself. And here's the theological problem underneath all of that. We, in this tradition, in Unitarian Universalism, affirm, as one of our main principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We say it with conviction. We build communities around it. We march it, we preach it, and then what do? We exempt ourselves from that. We treat our own worth as conditional. We see our own worth by how much we produce, how many tables we tend, how thoroughly we have emptied ourselves in service of others. We would never say to another human being, your worth depends on your usefulness. And yet we say it to ourselves, quietly, every time we can't stop. Every time we apologize for needing rest. In those times, we treat our own limits like a moral failing rather than a human reality. And I think we can't honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person while systematically violating our own. It's not a peripheral inconsistency, that's the contradiction at the center of our faith. As many of you know, in Hawaiian, we have a word, kuleana. It gets translated as responsibility, sometimes as privilege, but I think those translations flatten something. because kuleana is specific. It's your responsibility. It's a thing that is yours to tend, yours to protect, and yours to answer for. My elementary school teachers at Hokulana used to say, mind your own kuleana. Your business. The traditional land system of Hawaii worked because everybody understood their kuleana. The fish pond keeper tended to the fish ponds. The lo'i kalo keeper tended to the taro. And if the fish pond keeper tended to something that wasn't theirs, then the system didn't work. It's not generosity, it's confusion. And it means eventually none of the fish ponds get tended well. So what if your limits are not a failure of love? What if they are the shape of it? What if the most faithful thing you can do for this community, for this world, for the people who need you, is to know with the precision and the peace of that woman in the diner exactly what is not your table? Not as an excuse to disengage, but it's a foundation of a different kind of engagement. Rooted, sustainable, and alive. If you were here last Thanksgiving, we talked about the theme of enough. About sitting at a table with our lives open and our hands open instead of grasping ones. About the difference between feeding an appetite that's never satisfied and feeling truly nourished. But today I want to push that image one step further, because underneath it is a question I didn't ask then. Which table? You cannot pull up a chair at every table. And trying is not generosity, it's anxiety wearing generosity's clothing. The practice of enough is not about receiving sufficiency, it is about trusting that the other tables are covered. It's about believing with your whole body that the world will not fall apart if you do your work and let somebody else do theirs. Okay, in this moment, I would like you to imagine something with me. And you can close your eyes if you wish. Imagine waking up and knowing, not as a concept, but in your chest, in your hands, what is yours to do today. Not the list of everything that needs done in the world. Not the accumulated weight of every unmet need you've ever witnessed. Just yours. The particular, irreplaceable, kuleana-shaped work that only you can do. Imagine doing that work with your whole self. Not a depleted fraction of yourself, not the exhausted remainder after you've given everything else away, but the full, rested, present version of you that shows up when you've actually slept, actually eaten, actually tend to yourself the way you tend to everyone else. Imagine saying no to what is not yours, not with guilt, not with a long explanation, not with "I'm so sorry, but," and feeling in that no something that is not selfish, but integrity. The integrity of a person who knows what they are for. My friends, that is not a smaller life. That is a more alive one. There's a kind of flourishing that only becomes possible when you stop trying to be limitless. When you stop performing boundlessness and start inhabiting your actual, finite, beautiful self. Because the tree doesn't apologize for not being every tree in the forest. It grows where it's rooted. It offers what it has. And that's enough. It is more than enough. It is exactly what the forest needs from that particular tree in that particular place. You are that tree. This community is that forest. And we need you rooted, not scattered. We need you present, not depleted, tending to your table, not running between all of them until your legs give out. I keep coming back to her. Not my table, hon. She wasn't cold. She wasn't cruel. She was warm and direct and completely at peace. And what I understand now in a way I couldn't have when I was 22 with my Cheesecake Factory apron on is that peace came from trust. She trusted the other tables were covered. She trusted the system of care was enough to hand me off without guilt. She trusted herself enough to know what was hers without needing to apologize for what wasn't. That's the invitation I have for you today. Not just to set limits, but to trust enough with grace to believe that when you step back from what isn't yours, that someone else will step forward with what is theirs. To let that belief not just live in your head, but in your body. In the breath that comes when you stop trying to be everything. In the rest that you're going to take that is not laziness, but faithfulness. In the work that you do when you finally do only your work. Tend your table and trust the rest. Amen. Blessed be. In the spirit of knowing what light is ours, we're going to sing This Little Light of Mine together. So please rise in body or spirit for this little light of mine.
Now it's time for everyone's favorite part, the announcements. Okay, thanks so much for that message. It is my table to talk announcements today. After this worship service, immediately following, I hope that you will join us in having some refreshments in the gallery. And Keola will be in the study to do a talk back if you'd like to explore this theme a little bit more. So please join us for that if you would like. And then also, we have been having a survey of our minister, Deborah Bond Epson. And so the team that supports her, the ministerial committee, We'd like to extend a big thanks to all of you who have already participated in filling out that survey. And it's kind of evaluating the first 6 months of Deborah's ministry. So the deadline for filling out the survey is today. So if you have not filled that out, please do. And there should be a link and an invitation to do that in your email. It's a great opportunity to provide feedback as well as share ideas and make your recommendations. So please let your voices be heard. The team would like to tabulate the results and have it ready to share, hopefully by our next town hall meeting, which is on June 7th. So if you have any problems or questions about how to get that survey in, you can talk to Gabe after the service, or Nan Porterfield also, who is here in the back. Yeah, just let them know and they'll help make sure that you can get your voices heard. Also, we've been having our pledge drive. It's been pledge drive season, and we, I think, have 80,000 pledges, $80,000 worth of pledges in, and we're just a little bit short of our goal. So for those of you who have not committed your pledge yet, please do so. And you can see Catherine at the end of the service, yes, if you want help to do that. And then if you have already submitted your pledge and are able, please consider increasing that pledge so that we can meet our goal. So up yours. Just kidding. Not kidding though. Okay, school supplies. This is just a reminder, we're still collecting school supplies for KK. Through the end of this month, there's a donation box on the porch that is labeled and it lists their specific needs. So that's going on all month. So let's support our KK. Next Sunday, let us enter one of UU's most challenging conversations. Our worship service will be discussing theological language and how we say what we believe. Can we talk openly about God in a community where some find that word sacred and others find it alienating? So we will look at how the world shapes us today in beliefs and in language about God across Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, and Muslim faiths. Diverse voices from our own congregation. People will share their personal understandings, from divine presence to humanist ethics, demonstrating that we don't have to think alike to love alike. So please join us. Those are that completes our announcements for this morning. So we will extinguish our chalice, but the flame will live on inside each of us, shining and flickering as we go about our business. Remember to tend your flame this week with discernment and kindness, and we will shine as one when we come together again.
Just as a reminder of what Christo said, I'll be offering a talk story after this. If you'd like to explore this topic further, about 5 or 10 minutes after service is ended, grab your refreshments and we'll go sit and talk story. Okay. Now, go tend to your table. Not every table, yours. The particular irreplaceable work that only you can do. With their whole self rested, the beautiful self the world actually needs. Trust that the other tables are covered, trust the community, and go not with guilt for what you leave behind, but joy for what you're walking toward. Now we will close the service by singing Hawaii Aloha, and we often stand and hold hands, so let's do that. Please ask before holding somebody's hand, and we'll sing Hawaii Aloha together. the Lord.